part-time job in the word options trading program. And what we're going to talk about is how to trade better by thinking like a hedge fund. So this is going to be some information. It's probably going to be a module. I'm going to put it into my VIP course. And the goal of this particular module is to try to get a trader to kind of understand the levels of the market. So when they're looking at a particular event or they're looking at something that's happened inside the market, what level they think is going to hit on, and then what is going to be every level underneath that it can affect. So we're kind of trying to help you create a workflow mentally, but also I'm going to give you like a physical framework and to get you to bring it down. So what I'm going to kind of do is give you a basic understanding, because like I said, for my VIP group, we're going to really go a lot more in depth, because what I'm constantly trying to figure out is try to help people put all the pieces of the puzzle together so it can work well inside their mind, and to understand that we're being tasked to think in a way in which we have not thought before. So what we're going to talk about is that how to trade better by thinking like a hedge fund, right? So if you're looking to, what's going on, Dunamis? If you're looking to try to figure out how to become a better trader by using your brain and being able to analyze a situation and working your way through a situation, I'm gonna kind of give you a framework that can help you. And that's kind of the reason why you're here. So my goal is to always try to put you in a position to make money by kind of showing you how to make money using your actual brain, as opposed to getting caught up in the hype and chasing the crowd. So let's say hypothetically, we're looking at the actual overall market. So when I'm looking at a company, right, I'm looking at it from this standpoint. I'm looking at the actual industry. I'm looking at the actual sector, and then I'm looking at the actual operation. So let me give an example of what I mean. So I'm a trader, and I was reading something the other day about there is a payday loan, and you understand what like a payday loan is like these are these businesses where they loan you money at a really high interest rate, but when you get paid, you pay them back. So kind of like you write a check to yourself. I forgot how it works, but they're businesses in Mexico. They loan money to Mexicans that work in particular spaces of the economy, really high interest rate. When the Mexican worker gets paid, they pay the bank back. What came out was that they had some issues with their accounting. So their accounting was not 100% correct. As a result, their share price started to fall. When I'm looking at that particular scenario, my question is, where does that fit in this framework? Is that an industry issue? Is that a sector issue? Is that an operational issue? That's an operational issue, because that's an issue with their accounting. So then, because I understand that's an operational issue, then I can understand how large or widespread that particular issue is in the overall scheme, right? So that's one example. So as a trader, you want to break down the particular issue, whether it's bearish or bullish. Is it industry, is it sector, or is it operational? Let me give another example. That's a really good example. So during COVID, what was the issue, right? A lot of the event-based businesses, and I mean event-based businesses that do big events in which you got to congregate a lot of people, they weren't going to be allowed to operate the same way because of the type of illness or disease that COVID was. So now I'm looking at the cruise lines, right? That's an event-based business. To me, cruise lines are event-based. They're really events on water. They congregate a lot of people in really tight quarters. What is COVID affecting when I'm looking at cruises? It's affecting the whole event-based industry. So that's cruises. That's, to me, theme parks. That's also concerts. So like I was looking at Live Aid, I believe was the concert promotion. Also looking at the theme park, Six Flags, Disney World, SeaWorld. Then we have the particular sector. So one sector is going to be cruise lines. Then we have the operations. So where was COVID hitting? COVID was hitting the whole industry, which now can affect what? That sector, which now what can affect the operations, because what do we see Carnival Cruise Lines do? Yeah, Live Nation, that's what I meant. I don't know why I call it Live Aid. So then what it did was it affected operations because they had to take on a lot of debt to keep the operation going. See what I'm trying to tell you? So when you're looking at the particular scenario, always ask yourself, what level is this hitting on? And then is it hitting on every level underneath that? So a lot of times if something's hitting the industry, it can potentially bleed into the sector and then bleed into the operation of a company. So you may try to figure out what companies are not going to be affected operationally by COVID. What companies are not going to be affected as much operationally by COVID. Start looking at things from this particular standpoint. So what we've been kind of taught to do is look at an event and not really understand where it hits at, right? But if you start looking at it from this standpoint, this is how big funds look at events, right? So when they're looking at a particular company, they're trying to figure out what level is this hitting on. Will it bleed down to the lower levels? And then what companies, right, or sectors may be a little bit more resistant to this based on the way they're composed, their business model, their balance sheet, yada, yada, yada. So that's what I want you to start doing. So this is the kind of information that I'm going to put in the VIP course, because once you really understand this, you can almost really create a framework to where when this happens, you kind of understand where it hits. You can create some analysis about it, and then you can start to kind of forecast and model out how you think that's going to affect share price. And then you can start to understand what kind of trading that you want to do as a result. So that's going to be the benefit of the VIP course, right? But then if you're not in the VIP course, all you got to do is just take what I'm telling you and go through the same process, but you're not necessarily going to have somebody to work with it through you, and you're not necessarily going to have any community to do that with. So if you got any questions, reach out to me. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world options training program, and I'll talk to you later.